What if I told you that the most powerful man in the room isn't the loudest, the funniest, or the one trying the hardest to be seen, but the one who simply stands there, saying nothing, and somehow draws everyone in without trying? You were never the kind of man who needed attention to feel valuable. You never walked into a room hoping people would look at you. You didn't try to outshine anyone. That was never in your heart. You were the quiet one, the one who observed, the one who stayed still and listened while others talked over each other. You watched as the loud ones soaked up attention. You watched as the charming ones made everyone laugh. You stood back, not because you were weak, but because you were becoming. You were watching, learning, growing something deeper inside you, something that didn't need validation to be real. Back then, you didn't fully know your power, but now you do. Now, without asking for it, you are the spotlight. You don't stand in it, you radiate it. And not because you forced your way into it, not because you made noise, not because you demanded attention, but because your energy has become so grounded, so steady, so calm, that it moves through every room you walk into like gravity. You no longer chase anyone. You don't try to prove your worth. You don't talk over people. You don't posture or exaggerate. You've simply become a man whose presence cannot be ignored. And now, people feel it. Everyone feels it. Your friends feel it. Especially the men who used to outshine you. The ones who used to be the center of attention. The ones who were louder, funnier, bolder. They don't understand how you do it. They don't understand how you stand still and still get noticed. How you say little, yet women hear you more clearly than anyone else. They don't understand how you seem to do nothing, and still, everyone leans toward you. It bothers them, though they won't say it, because they feel the shift, they feel your glow, and they don't know what to do with it. You used to be like them. You played the same game. You used to try to impress, to entertain, to talk more, to do more, but not anymore. Now, you're just existing, breathing, relaxed. And somehow, that's when everything started changing. Because you're not chasing anything now, and still, things come to you, especially women. They feel it first. They don't know how or why, but they do. You don't have to reach for them anymore. They're reaching for you. They notice you the moment you enter the room, before you've said a word. They feel your calm, your stillness, your depth. You're not loud, you're not flashy, but they feel safer around you than around anyone else. Your silence says more than most men's speeches. Your calmness draws them in deeper than any smooth line ever could. You're not performing. You're just present. And your male friends, they see this, and it shakes them, because they don't know how to compete with something they can't name. They used to be admired. They used to get the laughs, the attention, the flirty glances. But now, it's different. She's looking at you, not because you tried, but because you became a man who no longer leaks energy. You hold it. You contain it. You've mastered it. And people feel it. They try to ignore it, but they can't, because they see how the room bends around you. They see how people pay attention when you're not even trying. They see how she smiles at you, not with flirtation, but with curiosity, with respect, with something deeper. They hear how she speaks to you, how she listens, how she lingers longer. They pretend not to notice, but they do. They feel invisible next to you now. Not because you made them that way, but because you've stopped dimming your light to keep them comfortable. They used to joke with you differently. Now their jokes sound sharp. Their compliments feel forced. Their laughter doesn't carry the same warmth. There's tension in their tone now. Because while they're still performing, still trying, still seeking, you've stopped playing altogether. And somehow, you're still winning. You don't perform for rooms anymore. You don't need to be louder to be heard. You don't need to be funnier to be liked. You don't need to move faster to be noticed. You've become a man who is simply present, whole, anchored. And that presence alone pulls everything toward you. You've become the kind of man whose silence carries more power than others shouting. The kind of man whose stillness makes people lean in. The kind of man whose energy speaks before his mouth does. And they don't know how to handle that. Because their whole identity is still built on being impressive. And you've become unforgettable without trying. They're still chasing validation, still counting numbers, still wearing masks, still talking just to be heard. But you're not chasing anyone anymore. You're choosing peace. You're choosing stillness. You're choosing your own presence. And she feels that. She sees it. She trusts it. She leans into it without even realizing why. Your difference doesn't threaten them because you've taken something from them. It threatens them because you've shown them what they've avoided building within themselves. Real power, real depth, real peace. You've become the mirror that reflects what they've been pretending to be. They say it's your looks, your clothes, your luck. But it's not. It's what you carry now. It's how you hold yourself. It's the way your energy doesn't spill out, looking for approval. It's the quiet certainty in you that needs no spotlight, because it is the light. You're not trying to be chosen anymore. You've become the place where someone feels chosen by just standing next to you. That's what she feels. That's what they feel. That's what they all feel. You're not the same. You've outgrown the game. You've remembered who you are. And you've returned to that place fully. Now you stand there, not proving, not performing, just being. And in that being, everything changes. And they'll keep pretending it doesn't matter. They'll keep laughing, keep teasing, keep calling it luck. But you know the truth. You didn't win because you played the game better. You won because you stopped playing it altogether. You became real, and realness can't be copied. It can't be imitated. It can't be borrowed. It must be built from within. And that's what they feel when you walk in. They feel the presence of a man who doesn't need to say a word to be felt. They feel the shift in the room, even if they can't name it. They feel their strategies falling apart in the face of your calm. They feel the tension in their own performance when standing next to your truth. They feel it, and that feeling lingers. Because you didn't steal attention. You just stopped hiding. And now, your light is too real to ignore. She looked at you first, not because you called her, not because she was being polite, and not because of chance. She looked because something in her was pulled toward you. Her eyes moved before her mind could catch up. Her instinct recognized something in you, calm, still, grounded. And even though the others laughed it off or acted like they didn't notice, they did. Every man in the room felt it. Because deep down, we always know who gets the first look. We feel it when the energy shifts. We see who the room starts to move around. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was silent, but powerful. And when energy moves without being forced, everyone notices, even if they pretend not to. You didn't do anything to stand out. You didn't smile first. You didn't try to get her attention. You didn't play the game. You just stayed still. And yet, she found you. She felt your presence because it wasn't seeking, it was settled. You weren't trying to attract. You were already aligned. And that stillness made her feel safe. Something ancient inside her remembered that desire doesn't have to chase to be strong. It can simply exist, and she can respond to it. That's what made her eyes land on you. And when she did, everyone saw the difference. She wasn't scanning the room. She was responding to something quiet and steady. They teased you afterward, asked what your secret was, but they already knew. They felt it the moment she looked at you. You've tapped into something they've avoided. The truth that a man's presence speaks louder than performance. You're not loud, but you're unforgettable. You don't chase, but you're chosen. And that unsettles them, because it challenges everything they thought they knew about attention, women, and being a man. There was a time when your bond with them felt unshakable, when their laughter lifted you, when their advice helped you. You were brothers, equals, but you grew, not away from them, but deeper into yourself. While they got louder, you got quieter. While they reached for attention, you rooted into self-awareness. And now, something has shifted. Their jokes hit different. Their smiles feel tight. Their support comes with a sting because they feel the change, even if they can't explain it. They feel the calm in you, and it makes them uncomfortable. They still want you around, but only the version of you that doesn't outshine them. The version that still seeks advice, still needs approval. But you don't. You've stopped trying to impress. You're not performing anymore. And because of that, you've become the man in the room whose presence changes everything. She feels it too. She doesn't laugh as hard at their jokes. She doesn't lean toward their words. Her body leans toward yours. Not because you're trying, but because you're not. And that bothers them. Not because they hate you, but because they know. They know they're still chasing what you've already become. You didn't outcompete them. You simply stopped playing the game. And now you're winning without trying. You've become a mirror. When they look at you now, they don't just see a friend. They see a reminder of what they haven't done, of what they're still afraid to become. And mirrors don't lie. They don't comfort. They just show. And what your presence shows is this. When a man stops pretending, when he stops chasing, and starts listening to himself, he becomes something rare, unshakable, grounded, chosen. They try to explain away your calm, call it luck, say it's just timing. But deep down, they feel it. They sense that this didn't just happen to you. You became it. You built it in silence. In moments no one saw. You earned it by letting go of everything fake. You don't need their maps anymore. You found your own compass. And now, their advice feels different. Not because you're suspicious, but because you're clear. You don't absorb what isn't yours. You hear the fear behind their words, the discomfort in their jokes, the hesitation in their praise. You see how she keeps looking toward you, how her body responds to your presence before your words. And you feel the pause in their compliments, the little warnings they try to slip in, telling you not to get ahead of yourself, telling you to be careful. But what they're really saying is, don't grow beyond who I'm comfortable with, because if you do, they'll be forced to see what they've avoided in themselves. They don't fear losing you. They fear being left behind by the version of you that no longer needs them, the version that isn't asking to be included. You're not rude. You're not distant. You're just different now. You've outgrown the need for validation. You belong to yourself. And in that belonging, everything begins to align. The timing, the opportunities, the moments. What once took forever now arrives suddenly. What once felt impossible now comes with ease. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned, because you're not forcing anything. You're moving with the current instead of against it. This is divine timing, and it doesn't come with noise. It comes with rhythm. She sees it. They feel it. And though they may pretend not to, they know. They know the old version of you is gone. And what stands in front of them now is a man who has nothing left to prove. A man who doesn't perform to be seen. A man who is already seen because he sees himself. You are no longer chasing attention. You've become it. You are no longer begging for belonging. You belong to yourself. And in a world full of noise, of games, of pretending, you've become the rarest thing. A man who is true. A man who is calm. A man who is present. And that kind of man is unforgettable. That kind of man doesn't just walk into rooms. He shifts them. Without trying. Without needing to. Just by being. And they know it. And she knows it. And you don't have to say a word.